Students, in this video lecture, we will be learning about electric cells and batteries. In your early standard, like in class 10th, you might have learnt about an electric cell. How does electric cell work? Generally, we know that electric cell converts chemical energy into electrical energy. It converts chemical energy into electrical energy. An electric cell will convert chemical energy into electrical energy. The basic components of the cell is like, of course, there are different types of cells. You will be learning about different types of cells, primary cells, secondary cells in electrochemistry. So I am not going deep into this concept about cells and battery. Just I'll give you a brief introduction and then we will enter into our current electricity topic. We are not going to discuss more things about chemical reactions. So you will be taking a container in which there is some electrolytic solution. There will be an electrolytic solution here. This is electrolyte. And you will be taking two electrodes in this. This is one electrode and there will be another electrode. One is positive and the other one is negative. One electrode is positive and the other one is negative. So we have two electrodes and these two electrodes are being suspended in electrolytic solution, and as a result they undergo chemical reaction between these electrodes and the electrolytic solution. Now in that chemical reaction, like whenever there is a chemical reaction taking place here, this electrolytic solution splits into ions. They splits into ions. The solution which is present here, that electrolytic solution splits into ions, and negative ions are being pulled towards the positive electrode and positive ions are being pulled towards the negative electrode, right? So we have two types of ions here. One is positive and the other one is negative. So here, as I told you, negative ions, this is negative ion which is being pulled towards this positive terminal, and as it is negative, this positive one is pulled towards the negative terminal. So in this electrolytic solution, as once because of the chemical reaction the ions get split, and those ions will be dragged or pulled towards this positive terminal and negative terminal, and we connect these two with a wire along with a consumer. So these two electrodes are being connected now with a bulb. Positive and negative electrodes are being connected with a bulb. So as these ions, there are ions deposited upon this electrodes, positive and negative electrodes, there will be electrons even produced in these electrolytic solutions. So those electrons will be traveling from one terminal to other terminal, resulting in electric current. So remember, when positive and negative terminals both are being connected with a wire, then only electric charge will be discharged from one terminal to other. Usually from negative terminal to positive terminal, electric charge flow, negative charge flow, and the conventional current direction is opposite to that. Because of that, bulb starts to glow. This is what actually happens in an electric cell. If there is no wire connected in between positive and negative terminal, as ions are being deposited on the positive terminal and as well as negative terminal, this whole cell is said to be offering some electromotive force. That is, that cell has some EMF, electromotive force. When you are connecting positive and negative terminals with any wire along with a consumer, then transfer of charge takes place from one terminal to another terminal, leaving this particular cell as potential difference, right? So without any connection between two electrodes, we say that cell is said to have some EMF. This electrolytic cell has some EMF. If you are connecting these two electrodes with some particular consumer, in such case, this positive and negative terminals offer some potential difference for that particular consumer. As there is some potential difference between positive and negative terminals of these electrodes, there will be charge transferred from high potential to low potential. Usually current flow will be from high potential to low potential. This is the way when you are connecting two terminals, this cell will offer potential difference. If you are not connecting any consumer in between the two terminals, then we say that it has EMF. EMF and potential difference are generally alike. Unit of EMF is volt. Unit of potential difference is also volt. Only the difference is, if you are connecting two terminals, we need to call it as potential difference, because for this bulb, these two electrodes are offering some potential difference. If you are not connecting them, then cell is said to be storing some electromotive force. Some force is being present in between these two terminals, such that they are readily forcing the electric charge from one terminal to another terminal. That is the difference between EMF and potential difference. There are two different types of cells. One is primary cells and the other one is secondary cells. Primary cells are being like, these are called primary cells: voltaic cell, Leclanche cell, Daniell cell, and dry cells. These are primary cells. Voltaic cell is the basic. Voltaic, Leclanche and Daniell, these are basic cells. Like initially, long before they have been discovered. Dry cells are the modified form of these all. We will be using a solid in dry cell. These all are primary cells. They convert chemical energy into electrical energy. They can't be recharged. Primary cells cannot be recharged. They will be supplying very small currents. They generally supply very small currents. They are primary cells. For example, the cell which you use in wall clock, that comes under dry cell. That is primary cell. Next is a secondary cell. Secondary cell are also called storage cells. So in this storage cell, what happens is, electrical energy is first converted into chemical energy, and then stored chemical energy is converted into electrical energy due to these cells. So these are called rechargeable cells. The cells which we are using in inverters, and the cells which we use in our mobile phones, and the cells which we use in laptops, these all comes under secondary cells. In those secondary cells, initially electrical energy is converted into chemical energy when you are charging. Initially you need to charge it, right? When you are charging, electrical energy gets converted to chemical energy. When you are charging the mobile, when you are charging a battery, and when it is discharging, what happens is, when it is being discharged, chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. So secondary cells are said to be rechargeable cells. Primary cells are non-rechargeable cells. Secondary cells are rechargeable cells. Now, as we know, we will be using both primary cells and as well as secondary cells in our daily life. Primary cells cannot be recharged. Secondary cells can be recharged. Secondary cells, initially they convert electrical energy. When we are charging, they convert electrical energy into chemical energy first. They store chemical energy, and after that we will be discharging it. We will be using that particular cell. So during that time, chemical energy gets converted into electrical energy, right? Now, group of cells is called a battery. Group of cells is called a battery. Generally, a cell has symbol positive and negative, and it offers some electromotive force. We will be joining these cells in series or in parallel. As many number of cells may be there. This is having E1 EMF, E2 EMF, E3 EMF, so on. Such group of cells make a battery. Many group of cells. If more than 2 cells are being used, even if 2 cells are being used, then also you need to call it as a battery. Group of cells is called a battery. So a cell offer EMF when it is not in use. A cell offer potential difference for the terminal when we are connecting it to external circuit. Group of cells make a battery. Now what happens in case of a battery is, like, let me take, you have a battery. This is a battery. You have some rechargeable battery here. There is one positive terminal and there is one negative terminal. This positive terminal and negative terminal has been connected with a bulb like this, along with a wire. Okay. Now, as I told you, there is some chemical reaction taking place in this solution, whether it can be dry cell or whether it can be liquid cell, any form of cell or any form of battery it can be, there will be some chemical reaction taking place. So what actually happens is, here we have negative terminal and the other one is positive terminal. Positive terminal is that because it is losing the electrons. Negative terminal is that which is gaining the electrons. So what actually happens in the chemical reaction, when the chemical reaction is taking place, what actually happens is, one electron from this negative terminal will be transferred to this positive terminal, and one electron from the wire is being pulled by the negative terminal. Internally within the solution, one electron is being dragged by the positive terminal, and as there is deficiency, there comes one deficiency in this solution, negative terminal drag one electron from the wire. So like that, this process continue. So one electron comes from here and one electron is being pulled from here. So overall, within this wire, number of electrons will be remained same. So from this wire, if one electron is being pulled by the negative terminal, this positive terminal will supply one electron to this. As a result, the number of electrons at any particular instant of time within this wire will be constant. That's the reason how it will offer constant potential difference between two terminals of this particular wire. EMF, electromotive force, is work done by a solution, or work done is nothing but energy. So energy supplied by the chemical solution to drive charge. So how much amount of energy is needed to drive charge from one point to another point within a wire? That much amount of energy is said to be as an EMF. EMF is numerically equal to potential difference when the cell is not in use. EMF only depends upon nature of electrolyte used. Nature of electrolyte used. Depending on its nature, you will be having some EMF to that particular cell. And unit of EMF is volt, or you can even write it as joule per coulomb. EMF of the cell depends upon metals of the electrodes, nature of the electrolyte, and also temperature. And EMF of the cell is independent of area of the plates, quantity of electrolyte, distance between the plates, and size of the cell. It is independent of size of the cell. It is independent of distance between the two plates. It is independent of quantity of the electrolyte which you are using. Quantity, not quality, quantity. And it is also independent of area of the plate. You can take very small rod or you can take a thicker rod. Definitely it will be having, it does not have any impact on the EMF, even though you are using thin plates or thick plates. It is independent of area of the plates. That's about EMF of the cell. Internal resistance of the cell. This is one more thing which you need to learn concerned with electric cells. So as we know, whenever we are dealing with an electrolyte, like we have an electrolytic solution and in which there will be two terminals. One is positive terminal and the other one is negative terminal. Say it is positive and it is negative. You will be connecting these two terminals along with some bulb or a resistor, anything. Here it is consumer. And this is electrolytic solution. This is electrolyte and these are electrodes. Now as you are connecting a bulb, this will offer some potential difference. You should not call it as EMF, you should call it as potential difference because cell is in use. Now what actually happens here is, when you are connecting two terminals, the current which is flowing through this cell, definitely there will be some resistance offered by this solution. There will be some resistance offered by this electrolytic solution. And that resistance which internally, it is depending on the electrolytic solution, this internal resistance offered for the current flowing through the whole circuit is said to be as internal resistance of the cell. Usually internal resistance is denoted with small r. We will be neglecting internal resistance of the cell macroscopically because we are using a consumer externally. This consumer have resistance capital R. As capital R value is greater than small r, you will be taking a bulb. That bulb will offer some resistance externally. Say it may be some 10 ohm. Cell internal resistance is of very small value like 0.1 ohm. 0.1 ohm is less than 10 ohm. Therefore, compared to the external resistance of the cell in this circuit, internal resistance does not have huge impact on the electric current. Therefore, generally, we will be neglecting internal resistance of the cell dealing with macroscopic properties of the electric circuit. But in some cases, they will be mentioning you a cell with internal resistance. So generally, this is a cell who have some EMF. And if there is any cell, if it is having some internal resistance, then it will be denoted like this, small r, and this is having some EMF E. One is positive terminal and the other one is negative terminal. Okay. So this is the way a cell with internal resistance is denoted with. A cell with an internal resistance is denoted with an immediate resistor of small r value in the circuit. And without any internal resistance, we will be just denoting one positive terminal and negative terminal for that particular cell. And remember, internal resistance is inversely proportional to area of cross section of the electrodes. As area of cross section of the electrode decreases, internal resistance increases. And it also depends upon nature of the electrolyte and also concentration of the electrolytic solution. It also depends on area of cross section of the electrolyte through which current flows and age of the cell. So as age increases, electrical internal resistance increases. So internal resistance of an ideal cell is 0. Remember that in all theoretical questions we will be considering that cell is ideal. Ideal cell does not offer any internal resistance. It is ideal. Ideal means perfect cell. So for a perfect cell, internal resistance is negligible. That we will be considering it as 0. Practically, every cell will have some internal resistance. Practical cells do offer some internal resistance. And if it is practical cell, you will be denoting with one immediate resistor, just like how I have shown it here. And these are the factors upon which internal resistance depends on. Let us take one cell AB. This is a cell who is having some EMF E. And positive terminal is connected to point A, negative terminal is connected to point B. A and B are not joined with each other. A and B are not joined with each other. If A and B is not being joined here, then it is known as open circuit. In the open circuit, A is the terminal which is connected to positive. B is the point which is connected to negative terminal. Positive terminal, negative terminal. VAB is equal to EMF of cell. That means in the open circuit, the potential difference between two terminals of the cell is called terminal voltage. Terminal voltage is equal to EMF of the cell in the open circuit. But always it may not be open circuit. Sometimes it is closed circuit, like in this figure. See it in this figure, we have one cell, and that cell is being connected with a resistor, external resistor here. This is external resistor, and there is one internal resistor, and that internal resistance has smaller value, and this cell is offering some EMF E. Okay, now start from this point, like A, B, C, D, A. Use KVL, right? When you use KVL, start from A, you are going from negative to positive terminal of the battery. So therefore, that is plus E minus. You are going in the same direction as that of the current along with this resistor. In this resistor, there is some current I. So I write it as I capital R minus I small r is equal to 0. This is from KVL. Kirchhoff voltage law. Right? Starting from A, I am just writing KVL equation for this whole loop A, B, C, D. And this is E minus, or E is equal to I capital R plus I small r, which is I into capital R plus small r. But what is IR? IR can be written as V. So E will be equal to V plus IR. E is equal to V plus IR, where V is called potential difference and E is called EMF of the cell. So EMF of the cell is equal to voltage dropped across the external resistor and voltage dropped across the internal resistance. Usually when we are connecting external resistor, for this external resistance it will be voltage V. I can write that voltage V as E minus IR. Therefore, when cell is in use, voltage is less than EMF. Voltage is less than EMF. That is, potential difference offered by the cell is less than actual EMF of the cell, because there is some voltage dropped across the internal resistance also. Let me take one simple example. Say EMF is 10 volt. This is offering 10 voltage potential difference. Potential. Now this 10 voltage should be dropped across this resistor capital R and as well as a small r. Across this capital R, if it is 8 volt dropped, across this small r, it is 2 volt dropped. So what is the potential difference in between these two terminals of the resistor? that is V, which is 8 volt, less than 10. You are actually supplying 10 voltage, but for the external resistor, there is only 8 voltage potential difference between C and D, right? And remaining 2 voltage is dropped across the internal resistor of that particular cell. Therefore, due to that internal resistance, as there is some potential dropped across that resistor, the voltage, external voltage offered to the external resistor is less than actual EMF of that particular cell. So clearly you can now write EMF is equal to V for cell not in use. EMF is greater than V for cell in use. Potential difference is less than the EMF of the cell, that is when it is in use, and usually this is discharge. So what you are doing, you are connecting one external component to the electric cell. As a result, cell will undergo discharge. So when it is discharging, EMF is greater than the voltage V. But whereas when you are charging, EMF is less than V for cell in charging mode. So when you are charging a cell by an external potential difference, in such cases, the EMF of the cell will be less than that of the external voltage between the two terminals of that given circuit. So these are the three things you need to remember. EMF can be equal to voltage, EMF can be greater than voltage, EMF can be less than voltage. In all these cases, like if EMF and voltage both are same, then current I will be equal to 0. If not, EMF minus voltage is equal to IR. Okay. If EMF is greater, then EMF minus V is equal to IR. If voltage is greater, then in such case, V minus EMF is equal to IR. In both the cases, it is equal to voltage dropped across the internal resistor of that particular cell. So in this particular case, we are connecting one external resistor to a battery of EMF E, and as a result there is some current flowing through this. I want to now find out at what conditions maximum power is transferable through the battery to the external resistor. When you are going to get maximum power in this particular circuit. So for that we will be just using Kirchhoff voltage law here. From there I can write E is equal to I into capital R plus small r, or it is just simply written as, just I am using Kirchhoff voltage law. You are going from this way, like you are going from this, starting from the battery, plus E minus IR and minus I capital R is equal to 0. There are only three components. One is the cell, other one is internal resistor, and the other one is external resistor. So from here you can write E is equal to I into R plus capital R, and from this I can write I is equal to E divided by R plus capital R. This is current in the circuit. This is current in the circuit. And these components are connected in series, right? In series connection, power transferred P is equal to I square R. We have learned this in the previous video lecture. P is equal to I square R in series connection. P is equal to V square by R in parallel combination. So P is equal to I square R. Take this I and substitute here. P is equal to I square, that is E square divided by small r plus capital R whole square into capital R, right? This is power equation in the circuit. But what is our condition to find? We are supposed to find out maximum power transfer. So for maximum power transfer, dP by dR is equal to 0. As like in mechanics, you will be learning about this. So whenever if anything is maximum, differentiation of that means slope of that will become 0. So it is simply, I'm writing it as dP by dr is equal to 0. Just differentiate this with respect to capital R. D by dr of E square R divided by R plus capital R whole square is equal to 0. Now you should evaluate this differentiation. If you evaluate this, you will be getting numerically small r is equal to capital R. What is a small r? Internal resistance. And what is capital R? External resistance. Now, what is the condition for maximum power transfer? We have arrived one final condition. What is it? Small r is equal to capital R. It means that maximum power can be transferable within the circuit by this battery only if external resistor is numerically equal to internal resistance of that particular device. So this is what maximum power transfer theorem states. So maximum power transfer, that means if in any circuit, if there is maximum power transferred, it means that internal resistance is numerically equal to external resistance.